Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parent Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. Karen gets mad for having to respect her free nanny. After that, several years of harassment caused her to lose a job and her kids. And after that, entitled mom says I don't need my Xbox because I'm fat and tries to take it. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen gets a migraine. So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. And huge shout out to our newest channel member, Kai Bazali. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Become a member today and I'll give you a special shout out in our next video. Karen gets mad for having to respect her free nanny. I started spending time with an old friend from school that had 2 kids now. She had just left a difficult situation and turned to me for help, as I was her only friend in trade school and since she had left. She stayed at my house for a week before getting into a women's shelter that gave her an apartment until she could get Section 8. No one was allowed to know she was there, and I stood by her this whole process, watching her kids for hours on end, making sure they were fed and looked after. People would tell me I'm such a good person for helping her, and honestly, it made me feel like crap for not being able to help more. But at that time, I was having a hard time mentally and had just lost my job, so I couldn't support her financially. I was allowed to be in her apartment because I was her support for the kids. This is where the entitlement comes in. She had never thanked me or really even asked for my help, rather demanded most of the time. I never expected a thank you and was just happy to help. But things took a turn a couple weeks in. She started to be really nasty towards me, making comments on my appearance and pointing out my flaws and insecurities. She even started getting her oldest to as well. They are well-behaved kids for the most part and really are just typical kids. She started dropping her kids on me with no notice and leaving me with them for hours. When I was at her apartment, she would sleep all day and I took care of her kids, keeping them quiet, making them breakfast, lunch, and dinner, keeping them entertained and trying to teach the oldest his letters while making sure the youngest stayed out of trouble. She would roll out of bed and complain about the dishes being dirty, then talk to her kids for a minute before playing on her phone until nighttime, then go back to bed. She didn't look for work at all, despite my begging her to, so she could either 1. Pay me, or 2. Find care somewhere else so I could find a job. The first time I snapped was over something small. Her oldest ran up to her wearing a Spider-Man mask my mom had bought for him because he loved Spider-Man. This boy treasured Spider-Man, wanted to be him. His mom's response: "Spider-Man is stupid and lame. Only losers like Spider-Man." Now this was significant to me for a couple of reasons. She just crapped on her son's hero, and my family loves Spider-Man. He's even my favorite superhero, something which she knows very well. She just did so many weird and awful things. We fought, but I ended up still watching her kids as she promised to look for work. She told me that she will never get a job with her training because it sucked. The same exact training I received by the same teacher. I just waved it off and resigned myself to forever being these kids' caretaker. The second time I exploded is when she told me my best friend was just a pathetic moron. My best friend is in prison. Longer story, she was 16. The final straw was actually her oldest son. He was acting out pretty heavily and she refused to discipline him. She would scream at me if I even suggested thinking about it. I just thought a timeout and a stern lecture would do him some good. I also told her he probably just misses her and is trying to get her attention. Spending time with him might help. She said I was telling her opposite things and I'm not a parent and don't know a single thing about kids. I grew up babysitting and spent years taking care of my brother's kids. She called a therapist who told her the same thing I did. And when she called to tell me, she blamed me for taking care of him. She told me I should have told her that he was missing her and that she should have spent time with him. I was done. I told her that she was a horrible mother who put her kids in danger. She took her oldest to a concert, knowing her crazy husband was there. He then tried to follow her home. I told her she was verbally abusive. I tried to point it out so many times, and she told me I was a horrible guest because I snored in my sleep and left dishes in the sink. She told me I was unreliable. I had a job interview once, and that I didn't actually care for her kids. I loved them. I told her I was done watching her kids for her, and I was so sick of her BS towards me. I told her that she needed to pick up the stuff she left here for her kids and lose my number. When she came to pick it up, she tried lying to tell my mom that I threatened to hurt myself if she stopped being my friend, using my past against me. She tried getting my parents to choose her over me because she has kids. My dad told her to just leave. She also threatened to call the cops because I refused to hand-deliver her stuff to her window. She treated me like a slave most days, and other days like I owed her. It takes a lot for me to walk away from someone, especially if that person has kids and does need help. Karen was just too horrible. Before she left, she told me that no one would love me and I was going to die alone. When I found the $80 key fob to her car she left me in case of emergencies, I threw it in the trash. Several years of harassment caused her to lose a job and her kids. Several years ago, my mom was dating this nice man with 2 kids. My younger brother and I liked the boyfriend himself, but his kids were another story. His kids were entitled jerks that always got what they wanted, constantly stole our toys, and were generally a nuisance to be around. I always tried to be a better person, but my brother and I were constantly getting into arguments with them due to their pettiness. They weren't even the worst part of the relationship. The boyfriend's ex-wife was. From my perspective, I felt that she was the type of person that if she couldn't have him, nobody could. She made my mother and our lives heck, constantly filing false complaints about our side of the family generally pointed at my brother and I. From harassment to claiming I had stolen the son's toys, which was the other way around, and going after the boyfriend, claiming he was an unfit parent. Several times she'd try and ruin any plans we had come up with. For example, after spending months planning a trip to New York, last minute she blew a fuse and demanded we cancel the trip so that she could take her own trip with them. We had already gotten a written agreement from her. One time, she even demanded the oldest son and I visit a family therapist after pointing all the blame on me. I told my side of the story. It resulted, without the therapist fully implying, that they agreed I was in the right and them storming out of the room. Among many other reasons, even after my mom and her boyfriend had gotten engaged, the ex-wife was one of the biggest reasons why mom had decided to call off the engagement. The harassment and drama were just too much for us. It broke her heart to do so, but she made us the priority and got us out of that situation. A few years after the breakup, my small family and I were living happily. I never saw the kids or the dude again. My mom had still kept in touch with the former boyfriend, but after some time apart, she's seen the faults in him too. I was in the 8th grade and living life happily. That was until the ex-wife stepped into gym class one day. Apparently, since the breakup, she had gotten her teaching degree and became a substitute teacher. She was now replacing our normal gym teacher who was on maternity leave, as well as acting as the assistant teacher for our health class. Basically, I now had to see her pretty much every day for the rest of the school year. At first, she didn't recognize me. Puberty had hit me hard, changing my appearance drastically, especially for someone who hadn't seen me in like 5 years. Eventually, she recognized my name, and that's when the harassment began anew. All of it was snide remarks about my appearance, constantly pointing me out as an example as to what puberty can negatively do to you. Pimples, facial hair, voice cracking, that sort of stuff. To the class, as if I was the only one dealing with it. The main health teacher didn't know about it either. Basically, everyone in the 8th grade was taking this class at the time. It was technically one large class, but split up into male and female groups, and wasn't I lucky that the ex-wife got the male half. Mine. I told my mom about it immediately, and she was livid. She sent multiple emails to the school requesting that they switch teachers or at least let me take the class online. It all fell on deaf ears until, with the help of the ex-boyfriend, we showed them dozens of emails, phone calls, and messages all spouting harassment at my family and I. This resulted in her being fired from the school and basically being blacklisted from our school district and the surrounding area. If she wanted another teaching job, she would have to find it elsewhere. This resulted in a major legal battle between her and the ex-boyfriend because she had tried to move out of state with the kids without his nor the court's permission. Apparently, she lost custody of the kids and had to go back to her old job. Don't know what it was. All in all, it was an interesting experience. We cut all ties with that family after the whole ordeal and went on with our lives. I'm now a sophomore in college, waiting out the lockdown in my state. While my mom still hasn't had a long-term relationship since then, she's happier than she's been in a long time. Entitled Mom says I don't need my Xbox because I'm fat and tries to take it. Some backstory. So the entitled mom of this story was one of my dad's friends. She had a great life growing up and got a lot of the things she wanted, so she wanted the same for her kid. My parents had been great friends with her, shared a lot of their life with her, 5 years to be exact, and everything was great. Christmas had come around, and I had gotten an Xbox One X as a present. I have been overweight for several years of my life and have gotten very self-conscious about it, to which makes me sensitive to comments and insults about my weight. Also, I would like to mention, Entitled Brat was around 9 to 10 at the time of this story. Now for the main story. So this happened about 2 months ago. My parents invited some friends over and a family for a party. They wanted to throw one because they hadn't had one in a while, and they felt like getting some stress off their shoulders. Like the introvert I am, I stayed upstairs and played on my Xbox. My parents had invited over Entitled Mom, and she brought Entitled Brad because his dad was away for a couple of days because he had to go to an interview. After a lot of the people left, some people stayed for a little while. This included Entitled Mom and Entitled Brad. My mom told Entitled Brad that I was upstairs and he could hang out with me because he was very bored from hanging out with the adults. He came upstairs and into my room. Entitled Kid: "What are you doing, OP?" Me: "I'm playing some Minecraft." "Can I try?" Now, me being a softie for kids and being nice to them, I offered to let him play. He played for an hour or so when I asked him to stop so I could keep playing. I'm sorry, but I will have to admit I'm kind of addicted to video games, so I was a little impatient. Me: "Hey, Entitled Brad, it's my turn now." "No, I want to keep playing." Me: "But it's my Xbox, and if I want to play, you have to let me." "You can't tell me what to do. You're not my mom." "But it's my Xbox, and I want to play, so I'm going to play, whether you like it or not." Now that was a big mistake on my end for saying that. That caused Entitled Brad to start to whine that he wants to play. Me: "Well, it's my turn to play, so move it along now." I pushed him to the side of me so I could start playing some Sky Wars. He started throwing a tantrum saying, "I want to play, it's my turn," stuff like that. Entitled Mom heard his whining and came upstairs to see what was happening. Entitled Mom: "OP, what is going on?" Me: "I'm trying to get Entitled Brad to move over and let me play on my Xbox because he already had a turn. He played for an hour." "Oh, just let him play, OP. You get to play this every day while he doesn't even have an Xbox." Me: "It's my Xbox, and if I want to play, I'm going to play." "Oh, come on. You don't even need that Xbox in the first place." "What?" "You're already fat enough, and if you have this Xbox every day, you'll just get fatter and fatter for the rest of your life." Now that comment really tilted me off my foundation because I hate any comment or insult that has to do with my weight. And I retaliated. Me: "Then why don't you buy your son his own Xbox? That thought ever struck your empty mind?" Entitled Mom, clearly shocked about what I had said. "How dare you swear in front of my son?" "Why can't I? I don't have the right to?" Entitled Mom: "Listen here, punk. I am not having any of this crap from you. Understand? Now let my son play on your stupid Xbox." Me: "No." Entitled Brad: "Mommy, I want to play on the Xbox." Entitled Mom: "I know, honey. Just give Mommy a second, okay?" Entitled Brad starts fake crying, trying to make it as believable as possible because he knows his mother will chew anyone out if he's upset because of them. "Look what you did to my baby. You're making him cry. Just let him play on the Xbox, you insolent jerk." Now my mom starts hearing Entitled Mom screeching and runs upstairs. Mom: "What the heck is going on up here?" "Your rude kid just made my poor boy cry because he won't let him play on the Xbox. Just tell him that he is wrong and Entitled Brat should play." Mom: "Look, Entitled Mom, it's not my decision on who gets to play on the Xbox. It's OP's." "But it was a gift. You bought it for him." "And now it's his property. Got a problem with that?" Entitled Mom sighs, probably one of the loudest and most overly dramatic sighs I've ever heard. We all settle down and go downstairs. After 30 minutes downstairs, Entitled Mom says that Entitled Brat has to go to the bathroom and she goes with him. Me: "What the heck? Isn't he like 9? He should be able to go on his own. Sheesh." After we play Monopoly for 10 minutes, we hear a loud thunk from upstairs and whining from Entitled Brad. Me: "Oh no." I go upstairs, and who better to be there than Entitled Mom with my Xbox sitting on the carpet, cables ripped out of the outlets, TV nearly tilted off my dresser. Me: "What the heck are you doing, Entitled Mom?" You don't deserve this Xbox, you rude jerk. Give me my Xbox back, now! While I'm arguing with entitled mom, I hear some fast footsteps go down the stairs and clunking of plastic and metal in a paper bag. Entitled Brett just ran off with my controllers. My dad notices entitled Brett running down the stairs with the bag and stops him. Dad, what you got there, little man? Nothing. Let me see that. He opens the bag to find all 3 of my controllers. Dad, and why do you have OP's Xbox controllers? Entitled Brett. Because my mommy told me to take them. He tries getting past my dad to get out of the house, but he stops him. What? Give me that bag and come with me. He comes to my room to see my Xbox on the ground with the cables on top of it, and me and entitled mom arguing. Dad, what's going on in here, OP? Me. This crazy lady's trying to take my Xbox. She also insulted me on my weight. Dad, entitled mom, you know that OP is sensitive. I don't care. He's a rude and ignorant little jerk who doesn't care about other people. My dad is very protective of me for several reasons. Because of how fragile I am, because of how bad my mental health was at the time, and also he's very supportive. My dad doesn't approve of anyone talking about me like that. Get out, entitled mom. No, I'm not leaving until I have that I said get out! My dad is a very intimidating guy. Even though he isn't over 6 feet, he is a powerhouse when it comes to strength overall. Entitled mom flees my house empty-handed with her brat. Dad, look OP, don't take what entitled mom said to heart, okay? You're a very smart and caring boy, and your weight doesn't matter, so don't worry about it. Me. Thanks, Dad. I finally snapped on a Karen. Recently found me a job that I really enjoy. I worked both my old job at the restaurant and my new one for a while till I was able to fully start the new job. It's been a couple of weeks since I quit the restaurant and I went in to pick up my last check. They're doing to-go orders only, like a lot of places are right now. I went up to the cashier station and my friend was the only person working and one cook. So I just started talking to her about what had been going on and my new job and stuff while she got my check from under the counter. The kitchen yelled, "Order up!" That echoed through the whole empty restaurant, so she went to grab the order and I stayed at the front waiting for her to come back. I was standing next to the cashier stand, not behind it. A car pulled up and parked in front of the restaurant in a handicap spot, and I noticed they didn't have any stickers to park there. I recognized the lady from when I used to work there. She's a total Karen jerk that every single person working here hated her. She always had many complaints and almost never tipped. She would come in with a group of 2 to 3 more Karens and run the waitress around for 2 hours and then not tip her. She even made a new girl cry one day. So I started to walk to the back to get my friend, and so Karen wouldn't say anything to me, but she obviously recognized me from when I worked here. Some of this is paraphrased because I was so angry I don't remember exactly word for word. Karen screaming red in the face. I want a refund. I'm so fed up with you all not knowing how to do your job. Me. Let me get someone to help. No, you will give me my money back right this second. I'm never coming back here again. That girl said she checked the order, but it's wrong. I was here a few minutes ago and ordered grilled catfish, and there's no tartar sauce in it. How am I supposed to eat fish with no tartar sauce? And I never got the Dr. Pepper I paid for. She looked like she's about to explode with anger. I was starting to feel angry too. Karen. And then I drove here twice already. I want my money for the gas I wasted. Me. Okay, just let me go get someone to help you. I will admit I said it in a snappy way. I do not appreciate anyone talking to me like that. She noticed and immediately started cussing me out, and my friend came out from the back asking what happened. Karen starts yelling at her, and I went to the back. I quickly asked the cook for tartar sauce while I made a Dr. Pepper, and then walked back up to Karen, as she was still demanding a refund and $50 for gas. There's no way she used $50 of gas. She's insulting my friend and saying I was rude to her. I just want to say that what I'm about to do, some of you might think is wrong, but after working years in customer service and having to put up with little jerks like her, I saw this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to finally give them a taste of their own medicine. I mean, what are they going to do? Fire me? I don't work here anymore. Me. Nobody likes you. You are the biggest jerk I've ever met. She looked at me wide-eyed, frozen in shock. Me. You really think it's okay to just come here and not tip? and then treat everyone like they are worthless? Why are you like this? Always such a nasty attitude, thinking you're better than everyone. I'm sorry your life is so miserable that you constantly have to put others down. Here's your stuff, and you can shove it. I set the tartar sauce and the drink on the counter. Not going to lie, I really thought about throwing it at her. Then I just walked out with my check before she could say a word to me. Although I think she was stunned silent, no one probably has ever talked to her narcissistic self like that before. I went home and started telling my boyfriend about it, and before I could even get a few sentences out, the owner of the store is calling me. He wanted me to apologize, and I said no way. So now I'm forever banned from going back there. My friend said that Karen threw the biggest fit after I left, screaming for the manager and the owner, and she almost called the police. Really happy I didn't throw that drink at her now. I did feel bad for leaving her with that mess, but she said she was thoroughly entertained by the situation, and she wishes she could have cussed her out too. I really wish I said more to Karen, because on my way home I thought all kinds of stuff I could have said. I think this has been building in me for a while, and I finally snapped. Honestly, I do not regret a single word I said to her. How a meatball sub ended in divorce. While at my Subway store, I'm the manager. Our franchise general manager comes in to do a review of my employees, and I received a call from another nearby store of ours in need of some product. So I head out to transfer the product to another store, so the first part of this is all secondhand from our general manager. My big burly closer has a middle-aged Karen, haircut and all, come in. She's ordered food for herself and her husband in the car. My general manager can see them both from his seat in the lobby. He's watching my closer make the sandwich via our cameras while paying attention to his customer service, correct questions, politeness, etc. She orders a club for herself and a meatball sandwich for her husband. She proceeds to ask for a little extra sauce and then piles it full of toppings he had asked for. Gets rather demanding as my closer is adding the toppings per Subway regulation, even for extra, making her ask multiple times. Of course, my general manager is in the store, and I'm not there to take the heat if he doesn't. Something I did for my employees, especially him, since I relied on him to keep my already long work weeks below 80 hours when people called out. Man's a saint of patience. She's rude, but nothing abnormal for fast food. She takes her food. Husband and Karen proceed to go home to eat. I return from the other store and sit with our general manager in the dining area. We go over what went down while I was gone, how my closer did. Fantastic, of course. And he catches me up on the owner's focus for the store and drama from other stores. He used to be my manager for a year before we both got promoted. Then in comes Karen's husband, the poor divorcee. He comes in livid, swinging our front door hard enough I thought it was going to slam against the store next door's windows. He starts, "Do you know what you've done?" pointing to my closer, who is twice his size by the way, and usually a gentle giant. Closer, is there something I can help you with? He's obviously confused, considering he could not have seen the husband sitting in the car. Husband, "Yeah, you can pay my alimony and buy me a new house. She's going to take me for everything, and it's all your fault. I'm going to sue you, the store, the owner, Subway." General manager and I stand up to handle it. My general manager rests his hand on my shoulder and tells me he has this. General manager, "Sir, what exactly has happened?" "Your employee put too much sauce on my sandwich. It fell out onto my pants, and my wife got angry. The argument ended with us getting a divorce. You are going to pay for it." General manager, "Oh, sure, I'm sorry to hear about that. I'd be happy to give you a free sandwich." "Free sandwich? What?" General manager, "But," holding up a hand to have husband let him finish, "if meatball sauce on your pants is causing a divorce, I hate to tell you that your marriage had problems long before this." Karen's husband then spills an incoherent set of sounds before storming out and peeling out of our parking lot. In the end, Karen's husband sent in a complaint to corporate. Our corporate contact came in the next month for his inspection and asked me about it. I brought up the cameras and audio of the evening. He chuckled and smiled. Corporate, "Please email this to me too, will you?" Me, "Sure. May I ask why?" Corporate, "One, proves we have no fault in this divorce in case of suit. 2, and most importantly, it's hilarious, and my coworkers have to see this." So that's how a meatball sub ended a marriage. Customer tried to get me to hurt myself. This happened about 6 years ago when I was working for a well-known high street fashion retailer as an assistant department manager. I was working at the till, training a new starter, when a woman strolled up, placed a shoebox on the counter, opened the lid, took out a boot, and asked me to put my hand all the way inside. "Why would you like me to do that?" was my response. "Just do it," she demanded. I kept refusing politely, all the while asking her why she wanted me to do that. She got madder and louder and louder, and this attracted the attention of staff and customers alike, including my manager. She knew I could handle things, so she stayed out of it, but waited to see what was going on. After maybe 5 to 7 minutes of this repetitive back and forth, the woman screamed, "Because there's a metal spike in the toe, and I wanted you to get hurt like I did." So, you're telling me that because of a manufacturing defect that caused you pain, you thought it was okay to try and bully me into getting hurt too? "Why not? It's only right." Well, a normal person would have come in, told us about the fault, we'd have been deeply apologetic, and then tried to make amends in some way. But you chose to try and inflict bodily harm on an innocent person? She then swung at me, trying to claw me with her nails. I dodged that, just as my manager and another colleague grabbed her from behind and restrained her. The police were called, and she was carted off. Sadly, I never learned what became of her. On later inspection, the metal spike turned out to be a small plastic shard or spur of some kind, maybe 2 millimeters long at most. It was a bit jagged and slightly sharp. And shoutouts to our regenerals of the day: X-Screw Gaming X, Violet Black, JVR, and Isaac. Become tomorrow's regenerals by leaving as many reads as you can in the comments below, and please listen to my playlist every night when you go to sleep.